Interventions are designed to bridge learning gaps. Classroom interventions do that also. The issue with classroom interventions is you've got performance data coming in on all different kinds of manners. You have data from assessments. You have data from student work product. You have data from homework. You have data from a lot of different things, and all of this can be used to provide solid intervention criteria. The other thing is by using these multiple sources, you take steps to ensure the intervention is actually needed. One thing you think about when you're looking at data is what learning gap can be closed right now, because that's most important to me in the classroom. I need to close the gap now. What do I need to do? Now, the one thing you have to understand is if your data is showing large groups of students with similar issues, you may not need an intervention. You may have an instructional or curriculum issue, and you may need to address that first. So when we're looking at students, we want to know what students need additional help right now to bridge any learning gap. Team or classroom designed intervention should target gaps that can be bridged quickly. Intervention at this level is best on specific learning needs and with students that can move quickly. Students with long-term intervention needs are better served through differentiated instruction along with support from district programs and services. Now, once you've identified the students, you've also decided that as a team or even an individual teacher said, this is a short-term intervention that I know I can bridge a good group of students to match intended instruction. Then I have to decide what intervention should we use. Do I have the materials and resources available? Are they aligned to the standards? Are the materials and resources also with the right rigor and complexity necessary to show and to help these students bridge this learning gap? So now that we have our students, we have our resources, we have our targeted learning needs, and we have our targeted intervention in place, we just need to make sure that everyone involved in the intervention understands the process and the intended results of the intervention, that we stay focused on it. It's much easier to avoid creeping into other issues if we're all focused on what we're trying to accomplish with this specific intervention. We need to make sure everybody that interacts with an intervention student understands the process. And if not, then we provide professional development or other support models to those people. How will we know the intervention is working? What kind of formative assessment model will we have in place to measure the progress and gain of our students? Formative models are great because there's a chance that you can take all students, not just those in intervention, and administer some of these formative assessments. It allows you to see if there's gaps or closing, and it allows you to see the effectiveness of the program. If there's one thing I've learned is intervention should not last forever. The team, anybody involved in intervention should have a plan for student exit. Know when these decisions should be made and the criteria that the student would show the skills and necessary thinking to move back into classroom instruction, into that learning progression with normal classroom support models. This will tell you when a student is ready to move on.